And we are live now.
All right, I think we're ready to get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our April 23rd meeting of the Franklin City Public School Board. It is wonderful to see all of you. We are going to go ahead and get our meeting started tonight with a motion to come out of closed session. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session?
This is Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3. I move to come out of closed session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
It's Rebecca Jester, Ward 1. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We are going to go by ward. All those in favor will signify by announcing their name and then saying aye. Any opposed will vote the same as a nay. We'll start with Ward 1.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, yay.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson, at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. So we have a motion to come out of closed. Do we have a certification of our closed session?
Whereas the Franklin City, this is Hall Leonard, whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Shelton, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Going by ward again, all those in favor will signify by saying aye. Nays will have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson, aye.
I think that was an aye, correct, Carrie? Ms. Johnson? Okay. And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye as well.
Yes.
So we are certified. All right. Moving next is motions from closed session. We had a personnel agenda. Do we have a motion in regards to our personnel agenda from closed session?
I move to approve the personnel agenda as presented. This is Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Williams. Do we have a second?
I second Hall Leonard.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye by ward as well. Nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
At large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. That motion carries. Next up is our Pledge of Allegiance. Not sure that we all have flags nearby, but we will symbolically pledge to the pledge allegiance to the flag if you will all join me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
United
States
States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
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 it
it
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
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 liberty
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 and
and justice.
and
justice for all.
for all.
Well, that is definitely a first. All right, next up is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3. I move to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Jessica Banks,
Andrea
Ward 6.
Shelton, Ward,
We have two motions to second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity by ward again.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3. Aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson, at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. That motion carries as well. Next up is our roll call. Ms. Moore, if you could lead us in our roll call.
Yes, I can. Rebecca Jester,
Present.
Amy Phillips,
Present.
Dr. Andrea Hall Leonard,
Present.
Marshall Williams,
Present.
Dr. Andrea Shelton,
Present.
Jessica Grant Banks,
Present.
and Carrie Johnson.
Present. Present.
All right, we have all board members in attendance. Next up is citizens' time. Ms. Moore, did we have anyone that signed up or sent in anything for citizens' time?
No, we did not.
All right. So moving right along from that, next up is the consent agenda. We had 6 items that were included in our consent agenda. The first was minutes from our January 9th work session, as well as our January 16th meeting and our February the 27th meeting. We also had the uniform policy, which we have already done a first reading of. So this is the second time and it's being submitted for approval. You may recall there was some issues that were added in concerning piercings for safety reasons, as well as headwear. Those were the items that were added into the uniform policy. We had the surplus disposal request for transportation. Dr. Sterling, did you just want to hit on that real quick? Dr. Sterling? There she is.
Okay, I do apologize.
That's
This
okay.
started 2 years of, good evening, board members. This started 2 years ago when we did the presentation of phasing out our buses for our new buses. We are in the last phase of our transitioning out of our old buses to our new. So we're presenting you the asset disposal. As you can see, the following vehicles are identified as having little or no use to the division: bus 6, 7, and 8. And we do have one request to continue our partnership with the Franklin Boys and Girls Club. I am recommending that the approval to donate one of the surplus buses to them to take children to and from Boys and Girls Club and home in the evenings. And this was something that I had a meeting with Boys and Girls Club and they requested, and so happened we have 3 surplus buses.
Thank you, Dr. Sterling.
Yes.
All right, does anyone have any questions on anything in regards to the consent agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion in regards to the consent agenda?
This is Hall Leonard, Ward 3. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Shelton, Ward 5, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Again, we'll go by ward. All those opposed signify by saying nay. And we'll
Rebecca
start-
Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. The consent agenda passes.
All right, thank you so much, board members.
All right, next up will be item number 4, which will be the report of the superintendent. There's a few items underneath that. Dr. Sterling, if you would like to proceed.
Yes, please. Thank you. Next, we'll have curriculum and instruction. First, we'll have the SPED annual plan from Ms. Norletta Edmonds.
Good evening. Good evening, Mrs. Phillips, Board Chair, Dr. Hall Leonard, Vice Chair, school board members, and Dr. Sterling, our superintendent. I'm here this evening to present to you the Exceptional Education Annual Federal Funding Plan application for the years 2020, 2021. The components of the annual plan, again, are the Comprehensive Early Intervening Services, IDEA Part B, Section 611 funds, and IDEA Part B, Section 619 funds. Again, this year, we are required to set aside 50% of our 611 and 619 funds for comprehensive coordinated early intervening services. And we are required to do that again this year because of exceeding the cap for suspensions of students with intellectual disabilities. In your report on this slide, you will see the amount of money that has to be set aside out of each of the components of the annual plan or our IDEA funds. So 15% of the 611 equates to $48,128.79. And 15% of the 619 IDEA funds is $2,140.53, with a total proposed budget of $49,149.66. We do have plans or proposals for the position or for this salary. We will be hopefully adding additional positions to our staff to address behavior interventions, behaviors that are resulting in our students being suspended on an excessive rate. So that is what the purpose of the comprehensive early intervening services funding is for. Okay. The next section that I will review is the IDEA Part B, Section 611 funds. There is a breakdown of how the funds are going to be used. Approximately 55% of the funds included in the IDEA Part B, Section 11 will be allocated for the following positions. $94,306.46 for special education teacher salaries. Instructional assistants at $68,711.40, Special Olympics stipend at $650, $8,000 stipend for 2 Medicaid coordinators, and $2,000 case manager stipend. Approximately 32% of the funds will be allocated for employee benefits to the positions listed above, but for a total salary of $174,721.02, of which as well as $101,207.84 to cover benefits, with a total salary or total funding of $275,928.86. And again, this is IDEA Part B, Section 611 funds. Okay. The IDEA Part B, Section 619 is our preschool funding, and approximately 38% of those funds, amounting to $5,100, will be allocated to employ one preschool summer enrichment teacher and one preschool summer enrichment instructional assistant, with 4% of the funds being allocated to cover employee benefits for the above listed positions. And that amount equates to $514.08. And at this time, I am presenting the annual plan to the school board for your approval. And if I receive your approval, and after Dr. Sterling's approval and signature, it will be submitted to the Virginia Department of Education by hopefully before the due date of May 8th, 2020. Do you have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Edwards or for Dr. Sterling in regards to the SPED plan? If not, do we have a motion in regards to the SPED annual plan?
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, move to approve the SPED annual plan as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? By ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson at large, aye.
Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Edmonds. It was wonderful to see your face. Next up is the Hampton Roads Workforce Council grant submission. Dr. Sterling, if you'd like to go over that.
Absolutely. We've submitted once again for the Hampton Workforce Council for the grant this year for the 2021 renewal and submission. The grant renewal and submission, we submitted the narrative. The grant budget requested $120,000, and we have a new student incentive plan. Changes from the current year, program director salary increases to 3%. There's a 3% increase we budgeted for this year. We did that because last year, for our increases, we didn't increase the director's salary. We left it the same while everyone else received a 3% increase. So this would bring the director up to where everyone else is. Based on a 3% raise again of FCPS, staff development budget line was added for $850. And it allows for the grant staff to attend training suggested by Hampton Workforce Development, and a new student incentive plan increased. This allows student participants the opportunity to earn $600. That's through when they finish their resumes. If they attend workshops, they get different types of incentive. Normally they're between $25 and $50 that they receive to make certain that we encourage them to go to all of these workshops. And that's in our budget as well.
Does anyone have any questions? We're getting there. We're getting there. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Sterling in regards to the Hampton Roads Workforce Council grant?
The only question that I would have, it says here that this is discussion and information. So I'm assuming that there is no action needed or no recommendation from the board at this time, Dr. Sterling?
Correct. There's no action needed until we receive the grant, and then we always bring it to the board for you to approve and accept.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Moving on to the next item, we have the FCPS academic calendar for 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Sterling, I'll turn that one over to you.
Okay, this is the request for the 2021 school year, and I'm certain all board members know that due to the pandemic, this will be coming back before the board because we just don't know at this time what the governor's intentions are going to be to open up the state of Virginia once again. But we still need to have an approved calendar in case it does open up within August, September, and we're ready to move forward. So this is the proposed calendar recommendations. On Tuesday, January 14th, 2020, the calendar was introduced to the principals, a selection committee. Wednesday, the 19th, 2020 of February, the academic committee looked at the calendar. We went back and forth, and we finally had a unanimous vote with option 2. I can't see that, but I think it's option 2. And Tuesday, that was. And then Tuesday, we launched a community-wide survey. And the survey closed on March 6th. So there was a lot of work that went into this new calendar because we were proposing to start before Labor Day. So we knew this was going to be new to our community. So we made certain that we covered all stakeholders. We had 55 responses to the calendar, and we kept it open for another week, encouraging people to come in, to go in and fill out, that survey. 70% voted that they approved the calendar, along with 29% that said no to the calendar. And survey question number 2 asked if they would like to serve or suggestions or feedback on the draft calendar. Excuse me, I apologize. And we had 28 respondents. Community stakeholders, feedback opportunities, SP Morton Roundtable held. So not only did we do a survey, we did a face-to-face at all of the schools. SP Morton Elementary School was held on Thursday, March 12th. JP King Middle School, Thursday, March 12th at 6 p.m. And Franklin High School, and that was changed. And Franklin High School, March 10th. We didn't have many people that attended. However, we had over 15 to 20 students that actually attended and voiced their opinions during that time at the bistro for the calendar. My recommendation at this time is to approve the 2021 academic calendar as presented. However, again, board members, this will come back in front of you once again, depending on the governor's orders.
And Ms. Moore, thank you for bringing up that calendar so that everyone can see that. Of course, what we're looking at with this calendar would be a September 1 first day of school, which is actually the Tuesday before Labor Day. I will make note that that Friday, the 4th, and the following Monday, which is Labor Day, the division would be closed because part of that mandate with being able to start before Labor Day was that if you did start before Labor Day, you had to be closed that Friday before Labor Day as well as Labor Day. So that is why those 2 dates are closures for the division. And that would push our last day of school for students would be Monday, June the 14th. With graduation being Friday, June the 4th. Is there any questions or anything anyone would like to discuss in regards to the calendar?
Yes. I have concerns about the date of graduation because it conflicts with 2 of the spring sports. The state team quarterfinals for tennis are June 4th and 5th, and then the state championships for track and field, June 4th and 5th. Years that have made it to choose between one or the other, considering that a lot of these larger athletic events aren't held close to us. Even shifting graduation, like maybe to Thursday night as opposed to Friday, wouldn't cause the seniors who might be in that position to have to choose.
And I guess my question is, what was the rationale of starting on, Dr. Sterling, starting on September 1st? Yes. What was the rationale?
For starting, oh, okay.
Or starting
when we
before
had-
Labor Day?
Okay, when we had the discussion starting before Labor Day, the teachers, it was my proposal as well, but the teachers felt that when we started having discussion, that those first 2 weeks are really a lot of housekeeping, a lot of routines, and they wanted to be able to provide those 2 weeks that weren't full-fledged academic weeks to support their students. So that's one of the reasons why we decided to shift it up this year. But the calendar pretty much stayed the same everywhere else except the start date. And we're actually starting maybe 3 days earlier.
Any follow-up on that, Dr. Holland, or did that answer your question?
No, she answered my question.
Okay, and Ms. Johnson, we're going to double back to you because the video broke out in the middle, and so we lost about a third of what you were saying.
Okay.
So if we could double back to you.
Sure. My concern was about graduation date because June 4th conflicts with 2 of the sports for VHSL. The state team quarterfinals for tennis are June 4th and 5th. It's a 2-day tournament. And then track and field, the state championships are June 4th and 5th. So I would hate to have our seniors have to choose if they've made it to that level, you know, between participating the sport or attending their own graduation. So even just a shift to maybe Thursday night for graduation so that they wouldn't have to choose or either go to the event, come back to Franklin, and then go back to the event. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. One of the things about this calendar when you're dealing with graduation, it's flexible. It doesn't have to be etched in stone, but that's the projected date. But that's a recommendation that we can definitely look at moving that to a Thursday night. I don't see any issues with that at all.
Okay. I would feel more comfortable with moving that just in case we got somebody to that level.
Okay, so do you mind this recommendation? If no, because we definitely need to have that in planning with the high schools. I would have to actually go back because when you change the dates, there could be other schools that have, you know, traditionally have held that date on Wednesday or Thursday. So if you allow me the opportunity just to go back and work with Mr. Phelps on a date for graduation that doesn't conflict with the spring sports, that would be fine.
Dr. Sterling, this is Ward 3, Andrea Hollander. What is the traditional week for graduation for Franklin City Public Schools?
Franklin City, it's traditionally Franklin City Public Schools graduated at almost a week before July. So you would graduate possibly around the 15th. Let me look at June. I don't even see June. Thank you. You would graduate the 11th or the 18th every year. So moving it up allows the building to be clear of your seniors. They're gone, they're done, because after they finish their exams during the first week, their attendance drops off completely because they're just waiting for graduation. We have traditionally just waited for 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people to pass their SOLs with their retakes after retakes after retakes. Now you have an upswing of students that have passed all of their SOLs. So we try to move it up a little bit more to free the building. So you just have freshmen, junior, and freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So we can clear out the building, we can start our summer projects, and we can move forward much quicker than we did before. So it was an operational standpoint along with an instructional focus. So that's where we are.
Thank you.
Try not to keep doing the same things that we've always done when we can get things done more efficiently. So let me see. Board Member Johnson, you're looking at the 4th, is that correct?
Yes.
You're looking at the 4th. And you're saying that when they do their sports, that it conflicts with the 4th and the 5th, Friday and Saturday. Is that, I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yes, according to the VHSL published calendar that they have for next year, the 2 sports that it seems to affect that where we have students would be tennis and track and field. And again, I don't know that we would have any seniors, but if we did, I would want that to be an issue.
Okay, I think with the recommendation that we can, if we do have, it's not gonna, we can't do it if we do have seniors, because you know, parents want to go ahead on and start to plan. So we would definitely have to shift that date. We'd have to shift that date.
So Dr. Sterling, this is Chair Phillips. Are you suggesting or requesting approval of the calendar with the flexibility of having that discussion with Mr. Phelps concerning the graduation date?
Yes, concerning the graduation date. And then, yeah, because I'm going to see if we can do it the 3rd or any of the days before the 11th of that next week. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we're looking at is an approval of the calendar as presented with a potential adjustment to the graduation date to accommodate the seniors that may potentially have sports conflicts for that weekend.
That's fine. If that's okay with Board Member Johnson.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions in regards to the calendar as presented?
This is Shelton. I know Ward 5. I noticed that school board meeting is just once a month for this school for 2021.
The work sessions we never put on the calendar. We just put the board meetings, but the work sessions will be the same. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
No, Chair Phillips, I do not have a question in reference to the academic calendar for 2020, 2021. But after this discussion, I have a question in reference to the current calendar.
All right. Well, let's get this one out of the way, and then we'll pick up on that question from you, if you don't mind, Dr. Hall-Leonard. So
That's
at this
fine.
time, I will entertain a motion in regards to the 2020-2021 academic calendar.
I would like to make a motion that we move to approve the 2021 academic calendar.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, go right ahead.
We have a motion and we have a couple of seconds.
No, it was only 1 second.
Any discussion?
Yes, this is Vice Chairman Hall-Leonard. The discussion is, I believe the motion needs to be amended to reflect what you stated earlier, Mrs. Phillips, to be more specific, Ms. Banks. Because if we approve it as it is here, then we would not, it doesn't add that if the language in reference to possibly changing that graduation date.
It doesn't give the flexibility with that graduation.
Yes.
You are correct. So are we proceeding with the motion as presented, or are we amending the motion?
Amending the motion with flexibility of the graduation date.
All right.
Does that work?
That works for me. So we have an amended motion. Do we have a second on the amended motion?
I second.
We have all right. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor by ward signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall-Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson, at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye as well. Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Next up is the Franklin City Public Schools vision statement. Dr. Sterling, I'll turn that one over to you.
Excuse me, excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yes, that's okay.
Back that train up a bit. Dr. Hall
It's okay.
Leonard, you had a
Yes,
question in regards to the calendar.
Yeah, I have a question in reference to the 2019-2020 calendar. I want to make sure that I'm clear. At our last board meeting, I believe we approved the following changes. It was 3 changes. One was March 16th to a half a day Tuesday, March 17th, then schools were closed. 2 was March 16th, all offices closed. And 3 was March 23rd through March 27th, all school offices closed. But I'm hearing some buzz as to the school division's last day of June 5th. Is that an error? Because I don't see where we approved that. According to the current calendar, we have work days. Let's see, it's June 11th is the last day, and then work days for the teachers and staff is June 12th through the 17th. So my question is, if June the 5th is the recommendation of Dr. Sterling to be the last day, does the board need to approve that?
Dr. Sterling, do you have any input on that?
Well, June 5th is the last day of, according to our continuity of learning for students to turn in their work. So you say you're hearing some buzz. That needs to be, I don't know if we want to have that be our last day or not. I have not decided on that.
And it may be Dr. Sterling, because the information is on the website, and
Yes,
it has that June 5th date as the last day for continuity of learning, that people think
Yes,
that's the
ma'am.
last day. It may be that it's just the interpretation. I'm not sure. So that's the reason I wanted to ask the question. I thought maybe I just missed something.
Yes, ma'am. That's for the continuity of learning, but that's really where we are right now. I think I will get with the principals first and decide if that's something that is okay with them, because they probably want to run some professional developments, but if not, then I will bring that back to the board.
Okay, and so when we say the last day for continuity of learning, then can we actually choose that day if on the calendar it states that June 11th is the last day? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking.
Yes.
The calendar states June 11th.
Yes, we can choose that day. The calendar was approved when we were in school from 8 to 4:30. So now that we're in a pandemic, we have to make adjustments, and we're not going to, unfortunately, drag it out as longer than we have to. So we're keeping our students engaged, and we went through spring break, so we're actually cutting down our time to be in school, and there aren't any seat hours anymore. So we can definitely make the adjustment on the instructional side. The state suspended all of that.
Okay, and so, Madam Chair, all I'm asking is, I hear Dr. Sterling, and I totally agree with her rationale. If she decides to make the recommendation for June 5th due to the continuum of learning plan. However, I'm just saying from a board perspective, do you think we would need to also approve that?
I understand what you're saying, and I think there might have been some confusion with that. What Dr. Sterling, what Dr. Hall Leonard is asking is if we adjust, technically we would be adjusting the calendar so that the 5th would be our last day of school, if you want to call it that for students. Would that need to come back before the board for a vote?
At this time, it will have to come back before the board, but that June 5th is not the last day. That's for the continuity of learning for work to be turned in. So grades will still have to be placed in. And as the teachers are working from home, I don't know how much time we would need, but thank you, Board Member Hall Leonard, for that insight. I will go back to the principals and we will discuss how much time do we need. And if we need another day or two, or maybe a week, then I will come back to the board with that recommendation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Did that answer your question, Dr. Hall Leonard, or did you need more information?
No, she answered my question.
Good. All right. That being said, we will move on, if there's no further questions, to item 4.4, which is the Franklin City Public School vision statement. And I will turn that right back over to you, Dr. Sterling.
All right. Finally, after years, we have been together for going into year 3 with a vision statement is something that we're very proud of. I've worked with a team of stakeholders to come together through surveys, through face-to-face meetings, small meetings with teachers, and we have developed a vision statement for the board to consider. The vision statement survey results, there were a number of words that we provided our community. It was posted on January 13, 2020 and closed on January 22nd, 2020. 73 stakeholders participated in the survey. And as you can see, 86% see noticeable improvements within the division. That was one of the questions that we asked, and 25 stakeholders were interested in serving on the vision committee. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped. When we asked the question, oh no, don't go yet. When we asked the question, how do you think our division is doing? Because we didn't have a vision statement at that time. 86% said they seen noticeable improvements within the division. And these were the areas that they specifically targeted. School accreditation, 63%. I'm not going to do the points. School leadership, 55. Academics, 51. Student programs, 47. We got to get better with that. Morale, 32. Central office support, 32. Teacher retention, 27. Fiscal management, 27, and board governance, 17. Looking at these results from our vision statement also will provide the board, as well as don't go up just yet, Ms. Moore, and central office, an opportunity to increase those numbers of board governance, fiscal management, teacher retention, central office support, and morale. Those and student programs, anything under 50% provided us with an excellent insight on developing goals for the next school year. Thank you. The vision committee statement was comprised of what the community members selected in the survey. The vision committee met on Wednesday, March 11th, and the word selection was based on survey results. And this is what the community selected. They wanted to see in the vision statement the word achievement, communication, commitment, teamwork, growth, community, professionalism, leadership, innovation, and excellence. And we tried to take all of these words and weave them into a comprehensive statement that would give us direction as we move forward with our goals for the next couple of years. Okay, I cannot read this entire statement because we have faces, unfortunately, I can't see them. But committee recommended that Franklin City Public Schools vision statement be, the Franklin City Public Schools division will exemplify, can someone else see that?
Yes, this is Hall Leonard.
Thank you.
The Franklin
Thank you,
City Public School Division will exemplify an unwavering commitment to high achievement, to high academic standards, and excellence in achievement, leadership, and innovation. Our vision will personify professionalism, teamwork, and transparent communication to support the growth of our students and surrounding community.
Even though that was a mouthful, it was comprised of every last word that our community said that they wanted to see within our vision statement. I think that's the last slide. Is that correct?
That is
Okay.
correct.
Yes.
At this time, I present this for the board for any suggestions, recommendations, and your final approval.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion in regards to the vision statement?
Just want to say thank you to Dr. Sterling. I actually met with her and Mr. Holt, our board liaison, in reference to creating this vision statement. And just to embody the words, all of them, I just want to say great job.
Thank you.
I agree. It's really good and really comprehensive. The only thing that I would say is the second line at the end behind academic standards. I think that "and" should be an "and" with a D.
Right.
But beyond that, yeah, I think it touched on every single point. And like I said, extremely comprehensive.
Thank you. We'll make that correction.
Any other questions or comments in regards to the vision statement? None being heard, do we have a motion in regards to the vision statement?
This is Shelton, Ward 5. I move to accept the Franklin City Public School vision statement.
We have a
as
motion.
presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. That motion carries. We have a new vision statement. Thank you very much, Dr. Sterling, and as well to the committee that worked on that.
All right.
All right, moving right along. Next up on the agenda is the group health presentation for 2021. Right back over to you, Dr. Sterling.
All right. At this time, we'll have Mr. Jeff Ryder present our 2021 group health renewal.
Thank you, Dr. Sterling. Board of Education, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good,
Yes.
good. Okay. We had met with the folks from Pierce Group. Pierce Group is our broker. And we had a couple of meetings, and so we needed to break this down into 4 easier to understand sections. The first one I will go over is the group health renewal itself. And then on the second presentation, just what was changed from the prior year, which is now. The third item is something called Ben Select, which is a proprietary software product that they just presented to us to see if we were interested in it. And then recently we received notice from the Pierce Group of a price increase in their fee. So this gives a total overall cost for group health insurance for the division. So on the next slide, here's a little bit of history. The renewal history on the left, when we were with the local choice, the different carrier, some of the percentage increases that they were looking for back then. So, but on the right is our health claims history. And so one of the things that kind of jumped off the page at us was on a different slide, the $1,246,000 in total claims 922,000 of that was for medical, but 323 is for just pharmacy. So fully a third of all of our claims are just medications. But then we also noticed on a different slide that they gave us so many slides, there's no way we could present all these to the board, but on another slide, they showed us how many of these claims were by what group of people. And Dr. Sterling and I both noticed that about 460,000 of this 1.2 million was for non-employee retirees, retirees that are still on our plan, which begged the question, well, why are they still on our plan? And so we had to research, is that a law or something? It's like, no, that's just a past practice that we've always done. So, so also this is typical. Out of the 1.2 million, about 709,000 was just concentrated in 11 claimants, of which 6 were the non-employees, non-employee retirees. So our expiring policy, they had actually presented all this in the next slide on one slide. So there's no way I could present this in a PowerPoint. So, so the total combined premium there of about 1,247,000. This is our expiring policies. We have 3 health keepers and a key care. And the health keepers are basically insurance coverages for Virginia employees, and key care is national, mainly people that live in North Carolina or surrounding states. So that 1.2 million. By the way, I'm going to summarize all these numbers on one slide later, so you don't have to really remember all these numbers. It's just kind of an interesting breakdown there. 1,247,000. The employees contribute 370,000, and the division pays 878,000 of that. So going to the next slide is what we're renewing to. This is what we're going to. So we're going to 1,382,000 with, so that's a total change in the premium of 132,000. Next slide. There we go. So there's the 1,382,000 and 130. So that's about $132,000 increase overall, but it's the bottom couple numbers that is just related to the division. So on the prior slide, we were at 878,000, and now we're going to go to 953 for the division's share of the insurance cost. Those are the numbers for the group health. I know this slide's kind of busy. There's a lot of stuff in here, but there's just a couple of things that we did. There's one of the plans that there's only one employee in it, and I think that person's retiring, so we're opting to just get rid of that to kind of simplify and keep our plan. The drugs, the RX drugs, we are instituting a deductible for the brand name prescription drugs. So a lot of times if people are just in the, if they buy the generic brand, then they won't be affected. But so we're instituting a $150 deductible, of which the division will split this with the employees 50-50. So I'm going to show you in a bit how this helps our overall plan. In addition, the retirees, folks that retire, effective October 1st, we wanted to state that they can opt to go on COBRA. See, when they leave our division now, when they opt to stay on our insurance, they stay on, forever or whenever, they just stay on, and they pay the full premiums anyway. But under COBRA, the COBRA law, the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1986, that caps it at 18 months. So after 18 months, they should be going on Medicare. And so those are the two big changes. We're introducing a deductible for the for the RX drugs, and we're asking folks to, beginning October 1st, which is the renewal of this thing, to go on COBRA once they retire. Oh, and the changes, sheet 2, there are no changes. This is just a bunch, these are all the benefits we have: flexible spending, Anthem Dental, they're holding the rates, divisions holding the rates, long-term disability, all of these things are holding the rates, you know, till some point in the future. Okay. So this is something called Ben Select. All it is a enrollment platform, a computer software that the carrier, Pierce Group, actually, they don't even write the software, they just market it. And it allows computerized enrollment and new hires, eligibility changes, terminations. The thing is, we have to keep track of this stuff anyway in our RDA software and in other methods. So when we looked at this, it was like, this is one of those things that's nice, but we don't really need it. So I just thought I'd throw this out here for, you know, full disclosure of what we're talking to these folks about. And then the Pierce Group, they're the broker that takes all of our information and chops it out to carriers on our behalf. They're our, you know, our shopper. And so our current agreement with them, it coincides with the group health and renewal. So our agreement with them expires September 30th. The $12,000 fee that we paid them this year will be increasing 20% to $14,004 in fiscal 21. So let's wrap it up here. So here's the fiscal year 2020 cost from Anthem. Our group health costs about $879,000. The renewal is $953,000. So that's about an 8.4% increase. The cost of adding, you know, the drug coverage was 2.6, really bringing us to an 11% increase, but we decided to reduce that by adding the deductible of $150 per person. So that brought it, you know, brought it right back down. But then I had to estimate, well, what is the cost of the division picking up half of that? And I estimate about $9,200. So the final yellow figure there, it's going to go from $879 to $962, which is about a 9.5% increase for the health insurance. We've opted not to go with the Ben Select software. And the Pierce Group, you know, as of right now, today, that's what they're asking for. But that agreement, you know, we don't have to enter into that until, you know, August or something, August or September. So we have time to think about if the division wants to put out an RFP for another broker or just go with their increase. When you see 20%, it's kind of, you know, kind of high. So the recommendation was that we would approve the renewal from Pierce Group as presented, and then maybe hold off on the renewal for the insurance as presented, and then maybe talk about the Pierce Group later. Any question?
Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Any questions for Mr. Ryder or Dr. Sterling in regards to the health plan for 2021?
I have a question. This is Rebecca Jester. Could you recall for us what the projected increase was that was used in the budget for health insurance? I don't recall what that amount was.
I actually think I changed it to the 9.5%.
Okay. So it's not going to be a budget surprise.
No, actually, we're pleased that it came in like it did, because I think you were on the board 2 years ago, and it was coming in at 21%.
I remember
So we
that.
were able to definitely hold the line, and we got exactly what we wanted.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone else have any questions in regards to the healthcare plan?
This is Andrea Shelton, Ward 5. If we changed brokers, would that have an impact on the healthcare plan? Or that's just the broker's fee for?
That's just, yeah, that's just the broker's fee. And no, I don't think you'd have it. No, they're not like intertwined. Anthem, I mean, a new broker could come in and we could still end up with Anthem. It's just that they might charge us $8,000. You just don't know until you
Okay,
resist.
thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? None being heard, do we have a motion in regards to the group health plan for 2021?
This is Andrea Shelton, Ward 5. I move that we approve the health plan, group health plan as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
That was Ms. Johnson with a second. Any questions? Going by ward, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson at large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. That motion carries. All right, that finishes up the report of the superintendent. Dr. Sterling, did you have anything else or was that all?
That was all. Thank you.
All right. There is nothing under unfinished business or under new business. Next up is business by school board members. So we will start with that before moving into 7.2. So 7.1, business by school board members. Does any school board member have anything to share with the school board and the public?
I have a question. And maybe I missed it earlier. So in reference to, well, I guess I want to start off by thanking Franklin's High School for the continuity of learning plan and their instructional work that they're doing weekly. They are doing an excellent job with updating their school webpage. And so I guess it wouldn't be a question. I guess my recommendation would be, Dr. Sterling, so that we have, so that everybody's kind of doing the same thing, that SP Morton and Joseph P. King would also begin to update their school web pages as to the instructional plans and things that are going on during the week. I have noticed Joseph P. King, I believe it's Mrs. Cox, and she puts out something, a challenge for the students. And I have also seen a video for Mr. Parker and Mrs. Freeman, Mrs. Lawrence Freeman. But if they could do a better job, that's at the middle school and elementary school, of keeping their staff and teachers and parents aware of what's going on. And so have I missed it, Dr. Sterling? Because it may be that I'm not looking in the right places on the web pages, but I've noticed Franklin High School does it weekly.
It's quite all right, and I want to thank you for noticing that. We are going through a transition of all of our websites, and we're making them all consistent. And FHS is definitely above the curve. But trust me, SP Morton and JP King, you will see a brand new website launched with updated information.
Okay, thank you. And here's my question. I read the plan and I did make note of this in our agenda meeting. I complimented Dr. Sterling and her team for doing an excellent job with the instructional plan. But after going back to review it, I see information for dual enrollment for Camp Community College. However, I don't see it in the plan for Tidewater Community College. Was that just an oversight?
No, it was not an oversight. At this time, the students that are in Vanguard, they have not taken the placement exam, so they have not even started a class at
Okay.
Tidewater Community College, but you have lasered in on things that we are working on.
Okay, all right. So thank you for that. Let's see. My other question has to do with, now I did go back to review the grading policy. I was good with that. But something else, I did check VSBA, and I know I was trying to look at their guidelines, and I've noticed that some school divisions have either adopted a policy or guidance for telework so that it's clear for the staff and for transparency so that the public knows exactly what's going on as well as board members. So my question then to the board tonight is, do you think at this point, and Dr. Sterling, because we're a governance team, that we should adopt some guidance and or policy? And when we move to 7.2, the resolution, there's language, a matter of fact, I think right at the end, it says the school board will comply with temporary laws and regulations without inaction of policies to implement those laws and regulations. So it doesn't state that we have to have a policy, but my recommendation would be at least some guidance for telework so that it's clear as to what hours, so that it's clear to the public and to the staff, and staff understands expectations. For example, let's say social media, that certain things we wouldn't do during our workday, our telework day. So we want to make sure that that's clear to our staff. But if they don't know that, then they have no guidance. And I'd like your feedback, Dr. Sterling.
At this time, I think all three schools are doing extremely well with the continuity of learning plan, especially with their office hours and them connecting to their families and students. One of the things when you do with telelearning or distance learning, we're not teaching an abundance of new content. We're just drilling down to mastery. So when you're looking at that, you're looking at plans that across the board are giving students grades for every single assignment. So that's something we're not, I don't recommend that we move forward with.
The guidance nor the policies?
I think the guidance is, I think we're doing fine with the guidance. You're
Okay.
asking also in your question for.
Dr. Sterling, I think we just lost your
I lost her. Yes, I didn't hear
audio.
that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, I apologize. I don't think that's something that we need to, and that's my recommendation, move on. However, additional communication with what we're doing, I think that's something we can go ahead on and stress.
Okay, so my question is,
go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
And just for the record, our continuity of learning plan has been asked for by other divisions. And we're quite proud of the work. The work is getting done. And I know one that's very close by that's actually using some of the information that we're providing with our community.
And I did compliment you all, Dr. Sterling, on the plan. I think it's an excellent plan, but I just wanted to make sure that as a school board, that we don't miss anything as far as guidance. I didn't see it as a recommendation for a policy, but I wanted to make sure that we do have guidance as far as the telework schedule. But thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to take a moment to say that it's nice to see Franklin City Public Schools in the media in a positive light. And I think that you all are doing a great job and you are being recognized by surrounding areas. And thank you all for getting together with the city with those 3 masks and making them available to the people that need them during the pandemic. So congratulations and thank you.
Absolutely.
And Dr.
Oh,
Hall,
yes.
I just want to piggyback onto what you said. And I think that was a great topic that you brought up, because we don't know 6 months from now where we're going to be in this pandemic. This could be going on and could be gone in a couple of months, or we could be dragging this on into the fall. We don't know. And Dr. Sterling, I'm sure that's something that you were thinking about too, is, you know, how is this going to end up playing out, and how could that impact us as the next school year does start? And I'm sure those are topics that we probably will be revisiting.
Yes.
Definitely we'll be revisiting them. We're talking, on a call with Dr. Lane twice a week. He definitely has guided us to make plans throughout the fall of next year. There is no guarantee. So all of our teachers are ramping up their knowledge of virtual learning, meetings, planning, lesson plans, everything, utilizing technology. Again, I want to thank the board, because I know it was a shocker when we started approving, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars for laptops for the one-on-one initiatives.
Yes.
But I really want to thank the board personally, because we were ahead of the game. We were ahead of so many divisions that are just now ordering laptops for their students. And we're 3-4 weeks deep into virtual learning. So again, thank you for your trust, belief, and allowing our students to take them home and continue their continuity of learning virtually.
Yes, Dr. Sterling. I was getting ready to say what you just said. It was almost like she was thinking for me. I think that is just wonderful. The fact that we approve, so board members, I say that's a pat on the back for us, for Franklin City Public Schools, that we were ahead. We had already approved. Our students had their devices in hand, easily accessible. And I was able to participate, because I have a child in the division, on one of the Zoom meetings with the students. And I must say, that's a shout out to Joseph P. King. Excellent job with the instruction. Excellent job. Students are engaged. They have their devices. They are communicating with their teachers via the Google Classroom. So they know their scheduled appointments, and they know when to get online and be actively engaged. So I think they're doing a wonderful job. Thank you, Dr. Sterling.
And I don't know if many of you were able to see it, but we're even pulling in our pre-K with their morning routine.
Yeah, that
as
was
well.
cute.
So we're getting them all. We're getting them all.
Anyone else have anything to add under business by school board members?
Oh, I would like to say something else. Mrs. Phillips, I want to say to our chair board that, Mrs. Phillips, this is not an easy job. And then when moving into this COVID-19 and the pressure of having to lead during all of this, I'm sure has been monumental. We want to say thank you on behalf of our school board for your diligence and your leadership. Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
job.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I greatly appreciate that. It has,
Yes.
I never would have thought stepping into this role last year that this was on the forefront, and it has been challenging, but I appreciate, I could not do it without each and every one of you. So thank you to each and every one of you as well, because I know that as a group, as a team, we can do this. It's not about me, it's about each and every one of you.
That's right. That's right.
So thank you very much. I did want to add, I was contacted this week by our regional chair for VSBA. VSBA challenged all of the regional chairs to reach out to the chair people for each one of the school divisions within their region. And VSBA was just looking for ways that they could support us and help us through this. And best practices that we had implemented, how we were reaching our students. So they had a list of questions to ask. And piggybacking on what Dr. Hall Leonard said, they are immensely impressed about how far ahead we were in our one-to-one initiative. And we're very interested in how that was helping with that continuity of learning. Dr. Sterling, by chance, do we have any idea about numbers on about a percentage of how many of our students are participating and are still doing schoolwork?
89%.
How much?
We gauge it every 89%. We gauge it every week.
That I did convey that to our regional chair, and that was the highest number that he had heard participating.
Wow.
They were
Great.
blown away that we had that much participation with our continuing learning amongst our students. I also mentioned, and I will mention, Dr. Sterling, I did email you back on your weekly communication to the board. I thoroughly appreciate the format you put that in. I love that it hit on every department within the division and gave us an idea of what was going on so that we have a pulse of every area of the division and how that's progressing right now. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
One other thing that I did want to just put on the board's radar, our seniors, our graduating seniors this year, unfortunately, we all are very aware of how much they are missing out on. We got our opportunities when we were all seniors, and we remember what senior year was like. And of course, theirs is not going to be the same as anything anyone else has been through. But I wanted to let you guys know we have actually been contacted by some members of the community that want to show support for our seniors. So there are some things on the forefront. I hesitate to give too many details because I don't want to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. But we have community stakeholders that want to show support and do some special things for our seniors. So as those evolve and come to be, I will share them with you guys. But I have been blown away by some of the suggestions that have been made and some of the things that they're wanting to do for our seniors. The only other item that I have, and I emailed you guys and I had not corresponded back because I wasn't pushing the issue right now, but our VSBA training session that was supposed to be next week, of course, that has had to be postponed and we are looking at August. I sent out a list of dates and requests for any dates that we knew were conflicts for each of us. And we were so excited that each one of us picked a different date.
Oh my goodness.
So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. So I think what I'll send out is an email for dates that we know are conflicts. I know I'm fairly flexible. I say that all the time. Some of us are more flexible, have more flexible schedules than others. And of course, the beginning of August for those in education is a little bit more flexible than when we get into the middle of August, because that's when everything gets rolling pretty good within education. So I will send out another email just asking for dates that are definite conflicts so that we can rule dates out. And then we'll proceed from there, if that's okay with the board.
Yes.
That's fine.
All right. Anything else under business by school board members?
I just
If
want
not,
to
then
make
we
one more comment. Can I just make one more comment?
Sure.
Today, and I'm sure the board is going to approve at our next meeting. Today, Food Lion dropped off another $420 gift cards for our families.
That's wonderful.
Very nice.
That's great.
Wow.
over 800, that's over $16,000 that they provided our school division so we could send them directly to our families.
Awesome.
That's
Great.
wonderful, wonderful.
I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to Food Lion.
Yes.
I'm sure there's no one from corporate watching our school board meeting because we are not that important to them, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Wonderful to have someone in our community that supports our families in
Yeah.
such a way. And
Mhm.
some of these families are struggling right now, really, really
Yeah.
struggling. And that little gift card can make a huge difference in whether
Yes.
some of our students get to eat.
Definitely.
So thank you. All right, so we will move to 7.2, which is the VSBA resolution on suspension of school board policies. I hope that each one of you, VSBA sent this out earlier to everyone, and this is just an option that would grant some authority over to the superintendent to temporarily suspend policies so that the division can continue without having to call a board meeting and get the board's approval anytime this were to happen, were needed. I hope each one of you have had a chance to read over it. And I was curious as to feedback from each one of you in regards to this, as well as in regards to Dr. Sterling, because of course this does have an impact on her because she would be the one exercising the authority. So I will throw that out to the board for your take on this.
Well, I think I meant, yes, Chairman Phillips, I think I made mention of the clause that I really paid attention to, and I really like. All of it is good. But the one that says, therefore, now therefore be it further resolved that the suspension, I'm right at the end, the suspension of policies of Franklin City School Board is in effect for the duration of time that the waiver of laws and or regulations reflected in the policies are waived. Yeah, and that way we don't, the board, we don't have to feel pressured to write a lot of new policies.
Right.
That we can actually use the policies that we have and suspend those policies as needed. We can have guidance, but we don't have to create a lot of new policies. I like that.
I do too. One of the things that I thought about when I read through this was at the very beginning of this pandemic, we had the issue come up with the laptop policy. And had to go in and we had to determine as a board and we had to vote as a board to temporarily suspend that policy.
Right.
This would circumvent us having to come together as a board to be able to do that, to give the superintendent that authority to proceed as needed. So that is one of the things that I picked up on this and I did like about this resolution.
Yes, and the other one that says that we will comply with temporary laws and regulations without it, there again, without enacting the policies, because we know that they are temporary.
I completely agree with you. Does anyone else have anything to add or that they want to discuss in regards to the resolution? Is there anyone that would like to recommend action upon this resolution?
Can I?
This is Paul Leonard. No, go right ahead, Dr. Sterling.
This resolution, again, came from VSBA and a lot of divisions are adopting it. For me and the way we work as a governance team, I could go either way because I personally understand when I need to make a decision, but I don't feel comfortable not informing the board. So I want people to really vote their conscience and how they feel. because either way, I'm going to continue the practices of informing the board of just about everything that they need to be informed about, especially when it comes to policy. So that's it.
Dr. Hall Leonard, were you going to say something?
No, I was moving forward with the recommended action.
Okay,
That
so
was all.
Go ahead.
we can get to that step. So is there a recommended action by any board member on this resolution?
Yes, this is Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3. I move to approve the resolution on the suspension of school board policies.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second by Marshall Williams, Ward 4.
We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Then moving down through the wards, we all those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays have the same opportunity.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Andrea Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Large. Johnson at large, aye.
You know what? Let's do that again because I was muted and still talking. Amy Phillips, Ward 2, I vote aye. So, this has been a challenge. That resolution passes.
Thank you.
And I would like to say, Chairman Phillips, that this recommended action was proposed due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yes, I probably should have added that.
absolutely. All right, so that finishes up business by school board members. That moves us to the most popular part of the night, which is 8.1, which is adjourning the meeting. Do we have a motion?
Ward 4,
Before the
Marshall
motion.
Williams, adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. So just to make it official, let's go down the roll by ward and make our motion.
Rebecca Jester, Ward 1, aye.
Vice Chairman Hall Leonard, Ward 3, aye.
Marshall Williams, Ward 4, aye.
Andrea Shelton, Ward 5, aye.
Jessica Banks, Ward 6, aye.
Carrie Johnson, large, aye.
And Amy Phillips, Ward 2, aye. Again, to each and every one of you, it has been wonderful seeing your faces. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much to everyone in the division. Thank you to Mr. Ryder, Ms. Edmonds, Ms. Burkhalter, and Dr. Branch as well for joining us tonight, even though we didn't see all of your faces. And lastly, I just want to say thank you very much to all of our workers on the front lines, including our healthcare workers, especially our healthcare workers. Thank you very much. And please, everyone, stay healthy and stay safe.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
we didn't hear from Mrs. Burkhalter. Say hello, Mrs. Burkhalter. We didn't hear from you tonight, but I see that she was on. Just wanted to say hello. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
she is.
Hello. Stay safe,
I like
everybody.
it.
Here she is.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Good
till
night,
next
everybody.
time, stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Right, good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.